reach out and grab ya. Abracadabra. Abracadabra. You make me hot, you make me sigh. You make me laugh, you make me cry. Keep me burning for your love with the touch of a velvet glove. Abracadabra. I wanna reach out and grab ya. Abracadabra. 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 I wanna reach out and grab ya. Abracadabra. Abracadabra.
Bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell ride. Jingle bells chiming, jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air. What a right time, it's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time, it's a swell time to go riding in a one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet. Jingle around the clock. Mix and a mingle in the jingling beat. That's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell ride.
We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Sunday, what did I say? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the What Did I Say show, the counterpart to the I'm No Joe podcast, where I hold us accountable for all of our shit talking and predictionary flummery. Tonight we have got the brother Christian here with me to break down all the fuckery that went down this weekend. How the fuck are you doing this evening, brother?
Doing pretty fucking good. Still blown away by last night's fuckery and bullshit, but
oh boy,
I didn't know UFC was turning into fight circus.
It's getting a little fucking much, to say the least, man, for damn sure. Did you have a little recap from FAC this weekend, since we didn't get to see the main broadcast once it switched over to allegedly it switched over to Fight Pass? It was not something that I or anyone that I talked to was able to actually find once it switched to Fight Pass, but we were able to watch the prelims live on YouTube, which was cool.
Yeah, apparently the UFC was not going to stream it live, but they still put it up afterwards.
I wondered
so
if
we'll see how things go in the future with that after the fact. Then just short of it, I guess. Ray Hayes still the number one prospect in the Midwest. He got a fucking nice little submission of Austin Spangler. We were rooting for Austin, but 28 seconds and he got put to sleep with a choke. He refused to tap out. I mean, he's got some balls, but it didn't take long.
That definitely sucks. Props for going out on your fucking shield like a G, but at the same time, if they caught you in under 30 seconds and had you asleep, that sucks. That definitely sucks.
I mean, most of the fights ended in a finish. They were pretty damn exciting. And then towards the end, we had the co-main event that was supposed to happen and fall out. Mikey England was supposed to fight John Tully, and Tully, he couldn't pass his pre-fight physical or whatever, so they had to pull it last minute. So that was sad. We didn't get to see Mikey England, but Gina Mazzani wound up getting the co-main spot, and they announced her as Gina Elliott, so that was pretty fucking cool. And she almost got her ass knocked out, but fought, came back, somehow got the decision victory. It was her first one in a really long time, like getting to see the reaction. She fucking had Tim Elliott jump up on stage. She jumped into his arms, and she had Kevin Kroom there with her and shit. So had a lot of people there to support her after the fact. It was just a fun time to see. And obviously, we were rooting for Gage Young in the main event. The walkout was fantastic. But he's young, 22 years old. Same with Austin Spangler. He's 20 years old. So them taking losses, no big deal. The guy he fought, Bobby Lee. I said it. On Thursday, even if he didn't have the greatest record, he's 12-7. He's 19 pro fights, and the dude's only 26 years old. He's only 4 years older than Gage. So I mean, a lot more experience, and it showed. I mean,
experience can play a factor, clearly.
got the second round finish. Similar to Austin Spangler. It was an armbar that he got Gage on. So I mean,
Gotcha.
It was a fun night. I think the promotion, in a lot of ways, is better than most others in our state, and even some ways was better than UFC's last night. Like,
Yeah, I
getting the
know.
fighters' names right was something that the FAC did at least.
No shit. Yeah, I don't know if I posted that to the I'm No Joe Instagram or not. If not, I'll make sure I post it to the I'm No Joe Instagram after this show ends. We laughed about this very, very hard in our fucking group chat because within the first 5 minutes or so of the broadcast, the lower third on ESPN Plus, advertising and trying to get people to buy the pay-per-view said Jay Blachowicz, Jay Blachowicz, number 3 fighter versus Magomed Ankalaev. And then like 2 fights or 3 fights later, they finally fixed it and updated it to Jan Blachowicz. But we got pictures of both versions scrolling across the ESPN fucking screen. So yeah, I immediately threw that shit up on Instagram and fucking tagged Dana White and UFC to it because fuck that. No, that shit was ridiculous, dude. Like, come on, man. $80 pay-per-view and you can't even fucking spell the guy who's fighting for your title's name correctly. Fuck. But no, FAC, what they showed on YouTube for the prelims looked pretty fucking cool, and the fights were pretty damn good, even if the AMI fights were pretty fucking good. So definitely looking forward to see what FAC can do in the future, especially if Fight Pass is going to keep them on and just let them do FAC like they had originally been doing. It seems like they seem to know their shit pretty fucking well. So the let's get it baby or whatever the fuck introducer guy was a little awkward a couple times, but there's still potential there, so I'm good. But that'll bring us over to Friday night's Bellator 289 Stats versus Sabatello card. Talk about prelims fucking delivering, man. Bellator's prelims were pretty fucking rocking. Kaya Kamaka putting fucking Boehm out, Lombardo dropping fucking Lemminger, and then Christian Eccles just beating the mullet off of Pat Downey with that fucking picture perfect straight uppercut from hell that sent him into fucking next Tuesday. There was a lot of controversy for as much as cool as there was on Bellator and on the UFC card, which we'll get to in a little bit, but it seems like a good portion of the fuckery from the weekend came from decision fights that Doug Crosby had something to do with. And it started early in the card in the Cody Law versus Chris Lencioni fight. It reared its head again in the Denise Keelhole versus Ilara Joanna fight, which again, I don't agree with either one of those. Patchy Mix came out looking like one of the best versions of himself we've ever fucking seen. Just rep fucking Magomed up and yoked him the fuck out. Liz Carmouche answered all the fucking questions here. It was not a pretty fight. It was not a fucking one-sided whooping. But when she locked that fucking arm up, and Juliana had no choice but to give in or get broke. So Liz gets to keep the belt, as it were. Props to her. Again, credit where credit is due, even if you don't agree with it. So Liz Carmouche is officially the Bellator Ladies Flyweight Champion. The belt is hers, now defended against the fucking lady she took it from. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with that division and Liz Carmouche going forward. But speaking of very interesting to see going forward here, this is where Doug Crosby really began to shine this weekend. Rafael Stotts versus Danny Sabatello went all 5 rounds somehow. Rafael Stotts is just a goddamn stud and was basically in control for the vast majority of the fight. It went about how a lot of us thought it was going to. When it was on the feet, Rafael had better striking. When Danny tried to implement his wrestling, Rafael was just faster and had better defensive wrestling and was just able to really do what he wanted when he wanted and just couldn't finish Sabatello despite really having him on fucking stanky legs a couple different times throughout the fight. But ultimately it comes down to a split decision win for Rafion Stotts. And the reason that I say it comes down to a split decision win is because two of the judges agreed with the rest of the world who watched the fight that Rafion Stotts more than did enough to win that fight, but not Doug Crosby. Oh no, not Doug Crosby. He watched the fight through his fingers, I believe, because he, despite being at the fight himself and seeing it in person, gave the fight 50-45 to Danny Sabatello. No, and no, that's not how that fight went. Ray Charles could see that Doug Crosby's card was scored incorrectly for this fucking fight. So
I like the guy's enthusiasm and bias towards Italians, though.
Right? No. But we now know, despite that valiant effort at fuckery, it's gonna be Patchy Mix versus Hafion for that Millie and them white gloves and that extra fucking belt. So that's gonna be a great fucking fight because Patchy Mix looks like a fucking stud. Hafion Stotts again looked like a fucking stud. That's gonna be a great fucking matchup to see those two fucking go at it here. That being said, that'll bring us over to fuckery central, as it were, for this weekend. Now I will preface this by saying, at this point, I don't think anyone expects a perfect card from a UFC event. I don't care if it's a pay-per-view or if it's a fight night, if it's at the Apex, if it's an MSG. I don't think any of them are coming off perfect at this point. We all just kind of collectively hope that minimal weight misses, nobody gets injured walking over a fucking, TV cable or gets hospitalized day of and a fight gets off, and we just get at least the card that's laid out on paper. Even if there's a slight weight miss or two, we hope nothing goes chaotically fucking horrible. Because of cards like UFC 282 last night. Right out of the fucking gate, what was it, 45 seconds, a minute into the goddamn first fight on the fucking card, Cameron Saman throws a fucking knee against Steven Koslow, who is literally on his knees attempting a fucking grab, and Saman fucking lets the knee go and essentially face plants Koslow on the canvas for a second. And props to Koslow for being a tough motherfucker, because when you go back and watch that replay, he ate 100% full force knee undefended straight to chin, and it like Derek Lewis snapped his fucking head back. Like, it was bad.
Yeah, I love what he said to the fucking rep, Chris Taglioni, too.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a bitch.
He was like,
fucked up.
Yeah, I'm not a fucking bitch, but that was fucked up. I ain't no fucking pussy.
Yeah. No,
well, do you want to continue fighting? And then he takes a second. He's like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Props to Koslow for just bringing the wheelbarrow to show how big his nuts were. That was fucking spectacular. So I absolutely give fucking mad credit to that. That being said, though, there was two more nut shots after that fuckery as well. And then a bunch of little shit that seemed to just kind of get let go. A couple of alleged, I say with air quotes, glove grabs, a couple of alleged fence grabs, and some scramblings. But in the end, Cameron Saman just turned it the fuck up in the end to get the fucking victorious fucking win. They called it, 4 minutes 13 seconds of round 3 by standing TKO. Props to fucking Saman for just turning back up after nut shot after nut shot. Props to Koslow for being a tough son of a bitch and weathering the fucking storm. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with both of those gentlemen going forward. I don't think either one of them really lost anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get to see Koslow again. Just because he showed he's a tough son of a bitch. He's got some shit he's got to work on, but
right. No, I
Mainly his
absolutely.
gas tank. I feel like if he builds up his cardio, he's got a serious chance that
Yeah,
he's
he'll be a lot
somebody.
better if he gets a little bit of cardio under his belt. I completely agree with you. That being said, uh, half of the Arkansas boys opening up TJ Brown versus Eric Silva in a crazy fucking back and forth opening. And then TJ Brown decides that he's not going to play around anymore. Like, he's ready to take this fight seriously and just fucking yoke Silva in one of the strongest fucking arm triangles we've seen in a long time to get the fucking stoppage. What did they call it here? 341 of round 3. When he got that head and arm, it was just over almost fucking immediately. So
Oh, it was over the second the fight started. Man, he almost did the Jorge Masvidal.
yeah,
As soon
the
as the fight
attempted opener.
started, he goes in there, cracks Silva, and I was like, "Oh, this looks like it's already over." Uh,
Yeah, no, it was a hell of a fucking fight while it lasted, but TJ Brown decided he was going to get serious at the end of round 3 as it was the clock was ticking fucking down. And once he locked that shit in, it was all fucking over. So props to TJ for that. Props to Eric for fucking hanging in there and trying his fucking damnedest, but no, TJ Brown ran away with that one in my opinion. Um Speaking of running away with it, though, um, I think it's fairly safe to say Alexander Hernandez looked exactly the same at 45 as he did at 55. And I don't mean that as a compliment. I mean that he's the same flat footed, non fight thinking motherfucker at 145 pounds as he was at 155 pounds. The only difference literally was the weight difference. And Billy Q, despite getting his fucking eyebrow ripped open in a fucking clash of heads, still managed to fucking do work and just shut that motherfucker down. Another great example of, you know what you really need to fucking work on, kid? Gas tank cardio. You would think, since Hernandez had issues at 55 with cardio, knowing he was going down another weight class, he would have put in extra hours on the bicycle to make goddamn sure this was not something he would have to worry about. But no, he started melting like a craft single on a car fucking dashboard in July. As soon as the fucking fight really started to turn the pressure up, as soon as Billy Q didn't go away, essentially, Alexander just started fucking wilting, and it was almost all but written in fucking stone. It was on the wall, man.
yeah, I remember saying it in the chat last night that Hernandez in round one was showing us the absolute definition of what opening a can of whoop ass is.
Yep.
And then once round two comes in, Billy Q opened up his own fucking can of whoop ass.
Yeah. Billy was like, that's cute. Watch this, bitch.
It's like, you know what? My can of whoop ass is just a little bit bigger. Fucking bloodied up like Nate Diaz. That was a great fight. They bloodied to all fucking Billy Q just comes in there, just fucks his ass, bro.
Yeah, Billy started doing fucking work and it was all over, man. Billy's a bad motherfucker. He really is. That being said, um, Joaquin Buckley versus Chris Curtis. God damn it, Beavis. Joaquin Buckley literally snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. He, he he was putting work in on Chris Curtis. He was fucking landing, and he was landing real good, and it
He was
looked
on
like
pace
Curtis.
to, get like over 300 strikes.
Yeah, he was just going the fuck off, and Curtis seemed to just be there every time Buckley threw. And then, for whatever reason, he threw a sloppy fucking kick. And when he did, Curtis was like, oh, now you're fucked. and he caught that fucking kick, and he didn't just catch it. He caught it and immediately locked in on Buckley's ankle and then started fucking teeing off and just put him the fuck down and shut the fucking lights off, man. Action Man lived up to his goddamn name in a Rocky-esque moment where he got the shit beat out of him for a hot fucking minute and then came back and just completely one-sided turned the fucking tables on Buckley here. Props to Curtis for having that in his back pocket to be able to just fucking go that hard, that deep into getting the shit beat out of him. But good Lord, man, we've already got a Darren Elkins. Stop taking so many fucking punches.
And then since we're talking about that, I saw the day. Guess who fucking called out Chris Curtis? Trayshawn Gore. And it's not just that, buddy, not just that. He didn't just call him out, right? It was like a fucking a guy that's obsessed with the OnlyFans girl hitting up in the DMs. I can't remember who the other one. It was Chris Curtis and somebody else that he's like tweeting out, sweet nothings. And it would be an absolute dream. I know they probably don't know me at all. I'm a nobody, but I just want to shoot my shot. He was shooting his shot for the girl of his dreams, which the girl of Trayshawn Gore's dreams is Chris Curtis, apparently. So we'll see if he gets his dreams come true next year.
I mean,
I highly doubt it. I highly fucking doubt it.
No, I like, despite how things have rockily and bumpily fucking went so far, I still like Trayshawn Gore, and I still think he's got a lot of potential. I just think that he is one of those guys that you can absolutely tell the small pond that he came from, he was a fucking great white. Like, nobody could even fucking side eye him where he came from without getting immediately fucking checked by his ego. And then he came to the real world, and it doesn't make sense to him why he's not still that bad motherfucker when the pool goes from this big to this big. Like, I like Trayshawn and I want to see him do good, but then he does shit like this where he's like calling out dudes who are at that level.
He's coming off a good win. He had his first couple UFC fights he lost. Yeah. He just finally got himself a good win, not just a win, a good win, right? So don't be stupid. And then that's what it made him look so bad, in my opinion. Yeah, I saw Chris Curtis. He commented on the little post. I saw it on Instagram. Chris Curtis was like, "Oh man, give yourself some credit. People know who you are." But it's just like that's the point. You're making yourself look sad by sitting there pretty much begging. Right. Like, oh, please. Yeah, if I could only get Chris Curtis.
Fucking fight chance. Yeah.
And it's like, that's not the level of dudes he should be fighting right now.
And that's not the way you should be trying to get a fight, even if it was. Like, look at these motherfuckers who went and grabbed the microphone. Ain't none of them going like, I'm not really that good, but I would like. No. See, that dude, you're taking everything I work for, motherfucker. Like,
yeah, but
your fucking ass. Like,
he called out the wrong guy too. If he wanted to get a little step up, he should have called out Joaquin because he's the one that just fucking lost.
Laid out, yeah. No,
and that
I agree.
Would still be a step up for Trayshawn. I mean, Chris Curtis, he's ranked now. I know he's 15th, but he's in the rankings, and then he just got a knockout. So there's no reason in hell how would that benefit him to fight the dude that's literally at the bottom of the fucking middleweight roster? That's just, it makes no sense. But yeah, since we mentioned the Chris Curtis fight, I had to mention that. I saw that today. Trayshawn Gore sitting here trying to shoot his shot.
I mean,
Chris Curtis is showing him love back, but
that's what I was gonna say. Chris Curtis could have buried him for that, but took the high road. I will golf clap for that, sir. I will golf clap for that because he could have been like, "Bitch, did you see what I just did to Buckley? Who the fuck are you?"
Yeah,
Like,
well, we all know Chris Curtis is most of the time a nice guy, unless he's got an
right?
actual problem with somebody. So
Yeah,
yeah,
unless you're some
he's
loudmouth
just
on the
like,
internet. Yeah,
I
shows up at
saw
the
the
gym.
comment. He was like, "You give yourself some fucking credit, man. Like you're worth something," and like had a heart on it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we know they ain't gonna fight. I can't remember. I gotta. I'll send you the fucking after this is over. I'll send you the post if I can find it, and yeah, then we'll know who the second guy he called out. But I thought both of them were ridiculous long shots.
Yeah. It's these days, I tell you. But that being said, one of the I don't want to say shockers, but less likely turn of events of the evening last night. Edmund Shabazian versus Dolce Lungli and Bula. Holy shit, dude. Um, we were talking about it a little bit in the group chat before the fight started. We talked about it a little bit on the show Thursday, but I cannot help but emphatically fucking state how happy it makes me to see Edmund Shabazian get the fuck away from that non-head movement teaching son of a bitch, because ever since we got Vegas Edmund, who showed up last night for 282, it's almost a completely different fucking fighter. Like, he looked great last night. He was quick, he was crisp, he was smooth with his striking, he was defensive as fuck. His movement looked nice. It was almost literally the polar opposite of that cocky asshole that Ronda threw around and they convinced was going to be the youngest champion in UFC history. Like, this is Edmund Shabazian starting to understand what he's capable of and letting himself be coached, and the development is starting to be noticeable. And if he sticks with this, he genuinely might be the problem that they initially tried to tell people he was going to be, because Edmund Shabazian last night just fucking wrecked poor Dolce's whole evening, man. Sent that fucking dude into the shadow realm. Like, Edmund got him, dude. Fucking A. Um, that stoppage, dude. Like, you could just see Vegas Edmund is a thing now. We have unlocked a new mythical fucking beast here. Vegas Edmund is now a thing. I'm telling you fucking right now, if he sticks with what they've got going, boy, Edmund Shabazian's coming back on the fucking map. I'm telling you. I'm fucking telling you. Great fight. Dolce is another one of those, like, he's just such a raw fucking talent. Everything he does, he throws 110% into. Somebody has got to teach him to just fucking pull the reins back a little bit and pace himself and not always look for a 45-second fight. Like, he's one of the dudes that doesn't understand what second gear or a brake pedal is. It's just drive gas. Like, that's all he can fucking do. And granted, when that works, Francis Ngannou's a champ for a goddamn reason. When it works, it fucking works. The problem is, when it doesn't work, you get Edmund Shabazian. So props to Edmund. Dolce, I think, absolutely can come back. He's just, again, he's gotta fucking learn to calm down a little bit. But Edmund looking like a damn stud. I was very happy to see it. That being said, I'm not exactly sure what the game plan was in the Dawkins corner, but one thing I am 100% certain it was not was stop Jairzinho's punches with your chin. But that's what Chris was doing for some fucking reason. Literally like 10 seconds, like no exaggeration, 10 fucking seconds into this fight, and he had already eaten not only a couple of shots, but a couple of big enough shots to where he was already starting to get Bambi-esque. the whole of the fight, including the start, the finish, and the actual referee getting there to stop everything, they're officially calling 23 seconds. Man, this is literally how Jairzinho made himself the name that he is today, because he did this to just fucking everybody. So it's not like there's not tape of him doing this to Overeem or half a dozen other different big dudes. And for whatever reason, Dawkins just stuck his big ass chin right out there and didn't keep his fucking guard up and did not move away when Jairzinho started to tee off. And that's all she fucking wrote, baby. Oh,
Yeah, that one was crazy because I mean, I picked the Shabazian Fight Perfect on Tapology. I go to grab a fucking soda. I come back in the room. The fight started. I'm hearing them yelling and screaming. Then I come in and see it. And Rosenstrike's just popping them up and then start flipping out even more. And then I get a third straight perfect on the next one. Oh, man.
hell yeah.
That's what helped carry me through the night. And just stay in there.
Right. So that being said, what I will say is Raul Rosas Jr. Submitted Jay Perrin by RNC. What I will not say is that it was a good fight or legitimate even matching or any kind of a test for Rosas Jr. But he did get the win. He got a rear naked choke. So your first official fight in the UFC, you got a W. Congrats for that, sir. That's all the fucking credit I'm going to give him for it.
Now give him Adrian Yanez.
I would love to see, or like Muhammad Mukaev, or somebody like that in that range. Like
He would.
I wouldn't even
Oh
be mad
man,
at like
that's
a
a.
Cody,
I
a Cody
like
Stamen.
that. And now that you said that, the Mohammed Mokaev, oh man, that'd be good.
Just a little humble pie for you, like,
Because
and
they're
he's
both.
only like
That works
Mukaev's only
out.
like,
They're both young. It's not
yeah,
like it.
that's what I'm saying. Mukaev's
Mokaev
only like
is
24, I think.
extremely. Like they tout Rosas as he's been fighting his entire life. So Mokaev's huge experience in the amateur level shouldn't be that much of a fucking advantage. Like so now that Rosas is 7-0, I think what Mokaev is 8-0 or 9-0. So they're
I
like,
think that,
yeah, and then they're both predominantly grapplers. So you see which one of the prospects is
he
actually
was
better.
really meant to be here.
I like that. Let's do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think that could be real fun, and I really like Muhammad Mukaev, so I would definitely be fucking super supportive and promote the fuck out of that for him. So,
I don't think they're gonna do that though, because they're gonna want to keep building the both of
yeah,
them
no,
up.
they're
So.
they're gonna throw another fucking couple of cans at him and try and Patty Pimblett him on his way up for sure. That being said, we talked about it before the fight started last night. There was really only one of two ways that this match was going to go. Either Ilya Taporia is letting Patty Pimblett live rent free in his head, and he's just not really focused for that fight, and Doug Nasty was going to cook him to the bone, or Ilya Taporia just really doesn't like Patty Pimblett and really wanted to take every opportunity to say fuck you every chance he got, and was still legitimately focused on Bryce Mitchell, in which case it was going to be a bad night for Arkansas. Spoiler alert. Ilya really doesn't like Patty Pimblett. This was another one of those. It wasn't quite to the same degree as Rosenstruik versus Dawkins was, but it was very, very apparent from the fucking opening second of this fight that Ilya Taporia had a very, very distinct power advantage, because the Bryce Mitchell was giving it everything he fucking had, and he did land some good shots, but every shot he landed on Taporia was literally just like a pitter patter that he just rolled off.
I
And
think TJ
every
said it right last night. I mean, Bryce was just an idiot with how he went into that fight in the first place. I don't know if it was his coaching or if he just, felt some kind of way about it. He wanted to go toe to toe and try to have the striking battle. He should not have waited until he was busted up and barely able to stand to try to shoot the takedowns.
yeah, no,
He
it
should have
was
right the second that fight started.
yeah,
Fuck
right away
standing
when they
and
were still
striking. I'm gonna
dry.
go right for my game, what I'm best at. I'm gonna try to get this fucking kid on the ground, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
see which one of us is the better black belt. That would have been his best bet. Yeah, he didn't do that.
no,
That flat earther brain really was fucking apparent last night, and
right.
he got fucked up. He didn't just get submitted.
He
Like
got
Ilya
ass
in
beat
that
first.
second round just fucked him up. The
Yeah,
just body slamming him, throwing him around like a fucking rag doll. Bryce was bloodied up like crazy. Oh my god.
yeah.
I love Bryce as a fighter. That was horrible to see. But I mean, like I said, the way the dude is personality wise, it's just readily apparent. He's not the brightest fucking light bulb.
Well, and even Galti was saying it last night. Like, as much as we like Bryce Mitchell, realistically, this should be as much of an eye opener as anything. That I get that you want to be fucking true to your hometown and you want to put Arkansas on the map, but at this point, this should be your fucking wake up call. If you really want to take this shit seriously and you really want a chance to become a champion, what you're doing where you are now is not going to be enough. Ilya Taporia is going to be championship caliber, in my opinion, one day. It might not be next month. It might take him a little longer to get there, but that kid has it. Whatever the fuck it is, that quote unquote it factor, Ilya Taporia fucking has it in spades, and we see it every fucking time he goes out there. And the fact that he was able to do what he did to somebody as capable as Bryce Mitchell, Ilya's on a fucking rocket ship trajectory, and we know what Bryce is capable of. So, in my opinion, it almost looked like Ilya Taporia did to Bryce Mitchell what Bryce Mitchell did to Charles Rosa. Like, it was that equivalent of a one-sided, you should have thought more about this fight kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bryce bounces back, and it's going to be interesting to see who's left really at the top for them to try and use to hold Taporia back, because that motherfucker is on a trajectory. I'm telling you now, that dude's heading straight for the fucking top.
Hey, you wouldn't think they'd give him max, would you?
I I
That's
heard a
too
couple of
soon, in
different
my opinion.
I
And
heard a
I
couple
also
of
want
different journalists talking about that last night, that's it's not ideal, obviously, but it's also not outside of the realm of possibilities as far as some of the matchups the UFC has made lately.
I just
Like,
I want them to quit using Max as a gatekeeper because I want Max to go up to 155 again and just
well,
have
and
fun
we
fights.
also have to remember that on
Quit
the
worrying
fucking
about the
Perth
title
card,
and shit and just have fun fights for Max. Like
right? But on that Perth card coming up in 2 months is fucking Yair versus what's his dick for the fucking interim, because Alex is fighting fucking Islam for the 55 as the fucking main. So we've got a literal shakeup 2 months away with dudes who are clearly in the division that Alexander Volkanovski did not clear out. I say with air quotes because that's his fucking words. This division is very much not quote unquote cleared out and ready for him to go play champ chasing. Now, that being said, I get it. There's video of him playing rugby at 300 fucking pounds. The fact that he is a 145-pound champion and has defended that belt several times to establish himself, that is a miracle unto its fucking self, in my opinion. So if he wants to not cut 10 more fucking pounds and go at 55, I get it. But at this point, it is becoming painfully obvious that you did not clear out your division in 45 in order to get up to 55. If you want to go, that's cool. But stop telling people you cleared out your division. You fought Max Holloway 3 fucking times, is what you did. Good fights, but you fought Max Holloway a bunch and then a couple of other dudes. So there's clearly still lots of live fucking wires at 45 for fucking Volkanovski to deal with. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they matchmake going forward with a couple.
Yeah,
of
you
these.
got those three right off the top in my mind. You got Arnold Allen, he's the closest one.
Yep.
And then you got Ilya now. And
Yep.
then you also got Giga Chikadze. I think he'll
Yeah.
climb his way back up there.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of blood at 45, man. So it's time for Volk to stop saying he's lapped the division or he needs a new challenge. Like he's looking
At this
for a
point,
challenge.
I
but
think if
it's
he
his idea.
wins the belt, if he somehow beats Islam in February, he's just going to stay at 155 himself.
I agree. I don't think he comes back. I think if he beats Islam, he decides that he's going to stay at lightweight, and then they're going to have the winner of the fucking interim belt versus probably Arnold.
Which I feel like as well, that's why Max hasn't really made a decision for himself on what he wants to do because he's waiting for that. Because of that exact thing, if Volk wins, I think he'll go up to 155. So then Max becomes king of fucking featherweights again.
Yep. Well, and vice versa. If Alex gets the shit, like if Islam manhandles Volkanovski and sends him back down to featherweight with his tail between his legs and an L on his forehead, Max might just decide, you know what? I can be bigger at 55 than Volkanovski was now that he's back here to fight all these fucking fresh young guys at 45. I'm going to go to 55 and see what I can fucking do up there because you already got the fucking Poirier matchup. Not to mention Islam would look real fucking good against Max if he just fucking worked Volkanovski. You got that, second fucking featherweight champion that Islam would be looking to fend off. So there's a storyline there. There's other guys in the top 5 that Max would look great against at 55. Like there's a whole lot of interesting storylines going forward from this now. So 2023 is going to be real interesting for featherweight, I think. That being said, though, that will bring us to DDP, Dricus du Plessis versus Darren Till. I will say Darren looked better than I thought he was going to.
In the second round.
Yeah. At some points. Not over the whole thing.
He got his fucking ass beat in the first round. The only reason it didn't get stopped is because he kept telling Mark Smith, "Hey, I'm good. I've got it. I'm good. I'm
What
good."
did he say? He ate 60 unanswered shots, 58 unanswered shots at one point. Like,
yep, 60
Duplessis.
to nothing. Whenever Duplessis had him down on the ground, just whooping his ass some more towards the end of that first round. And then, I mean, he did get up. That's the thing. He built a little momentum at the end of the first round. He got up, and then he hit him with some shots. Finally, it's like he needed 4.5 minutes of getting his ass beat before he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in a fight."
I don't think he watched all of Rocky. I don't think he finished that movie. I think he like paused it and walked away, and then came back and thought he remembered what he was actually watching. Like, that's not how the rope-a-dope works, my man. Like, that's not how you're supposed to do that because he let and I say let, I use that word lightly, but Dricus du Plessis beat the shit out of Darren Till for the better part of 13 minutes before he finally was able to just lock that fucking choke in and end the evening. God damn, du Plessis is another one of those dudes. He's so underrated. And I don't know why people haven't really been singing his fucking praises, but at this point, he's on the trajectory, man. It like everybody was so excited to see Darren Till back. Everybody was, everybody knows what Darren in the past has been capable of. And for Dricus to come out and just fucking dog walk him like he did last night, Dricus is going to be a problem for a lot of those fucking dudes at 85 real fucking quick, I think. That
Him
being
and
said,
Roman Dolidze. Him and Roman Dolidze next.
I would be all about that fight. I would absolutely watch that. Throw that as a
Just
main
because
event.
the ranking that they're going to give Duplessis, he's going to take Darren Till's spot, so they're both going to have about that same ranking,
Yeah.
and they're both on just a great trajectory, and that would be a fantastic fucking fight. I mean, that could
Hell
be a
yeah.
fight. That could be a fight night main event.
That's what I'm saying. Main event that shit on a fight night, dude. Somewhere like in fucking Alabama or some weird fucking, because the UFC's going to be on the road for fight nights, Dana said this year. He said they're hoping to do less fight nights at the Apex and get back to doing regular fight nights on the road again across the world and across the country. So hopefully we can get some little like, Des Moines, Iowa or something fucking fight night card, and they'll let those two fucking main
It'd
event
be
it.
great if they came to Kansas City.
Right? Yeah, they've been there before. It
It
wouldn't be
would
the first
cost
time.
me a lot of money, but I would enjoy the
Yeah,
hell.
no. That would definitely be a road trip. I would have to RV it or something. I don't know. If I can figure it out. That being said, though, we almost we were this goddamn close. We almost had another new mythical fighter unlocked last night. Off the couch, Alex Morono was almost a thing. God damn, if he wasn't giving it all she was fucking worth and trying. And you could tell Dad Bob Morono was not in any kind of fighting shape. Like, he was literally eating Baskin Robbins on the couch 4 days ago watching 90 Day Fiance. Like, he has not been in the gym in a month or more. Just by looking at him, you can fucking tell he was enjoying his time off when they were like, hey, about that fighting thing. That being said, he gave it fucking hell, man. You could tell he came out and just was not in current fighting condition, but tried to power through, man. And it the way it's another one of those fights that the only way I can accurately describe it is that Ponzinibbio was losing until he wasn't. Morono looked good for a dude who took this fight on real short notice and was clearly not training at all before the phone call that he got with the fight offer. But man, when Ponzinibbio connected clean, third round, just he really started to put his combinations together and he started to counter a little bit more cleanly. And then he landed one shot that was just the light switch clicked and you saw Morono start to like wilt and it was downhill quick. Props to Ponzinibbio. I don't agree with his bullshit that short notice Morono is more important than full camp Robbie Lawler. I get that he was building the fight, but stop it. Fucking stop
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, him beating Robbie would have been a little bit better, but it was nice to him get that comeback victory. I mean, he showed that he's not as bad of a fighter as I really thought, but at the same time, Morono showed me he had a good winning streak, and if he comes off of full camps instead of short notice fights, that dude's got some good potential. I mean, he's a hell of a fighter.
Well, and we talked about this a while back on the show. A lot of people don't realize that Morono is, and it's almost a weird comparison to make at this point because of current circumstances, but Morono is kind of like a lesser known version of what James Krause was in that, yes, he is an active fighter, but he also has his own gym. And I want to say like a baker's dozen. I think it's 13 of his fighters are either UFC, Bellator, or PFL rostered fighters, and almost all of them are either ranked in the like top 30 of their divisions. Like they're acknowledged and like respectable fucking fighters from his gym. So he almost at this point spends more time coaching than he does fighting, as was evident when he stepped into the ring this weekend, because he definitely had that coach bod going on. But no, it's cool to see that Morono can still get up off the couch and do fucking work, even if he didn't get the outcome we wanted. He definitely put on a fucking display of what he is capable on short notice, in my opinion, out there. So he despite losing the fight, he didn't really lose a lot of credibility, in my opinion, from that one.
Yeah, it was just sucky they had to follow Darren Till and Drickus fight because
Yeah.
that could have been fight of the night itself.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I did
It was
not think
fantastic.
that fight was going to turn out to be that exciting. It wound
No,
up surprising us. So.
no, I don't think anybody saw that one coming to quite that degree. Um, that said, that'll bring us to the co-main event: Jared Gordon versus Paddy Pimblett. Um, for those of you who haven't seen any highlights or heard anything about that fight, I think the best way that I can describe it is that Jared Gordon far exceeded expectations. And Paddy Pimblett is pretty much exactly what we thought he was.
And the
Jared,
UFC judges eat dog shit.
yeah. Jared Gordon is every bit the can that we thought he was, but he is competent as a can. I will absolutely give him that. He is competent as a can. He big brothered Paddy Pimblett for more of that fight than he didn't. I want to say that they said all 37 of the journalists who turned in scorecards for that fight unanimously agreed that it was either 29-28 or 30-27 for Jared Gordon. And then we get to the actual official judge's decision, where both Doug Crosby and Sal D'Amato are involved. And they give the unanimous decision to Paddy Pimblett. They ran the stats, or they showed the stats after the fight. Paddy Pimblett landed 3 more quote unquote significant strikes than Jared Gordon did. He threw more than double the attempts, so his percentage was literally half of what Gordon's was accuracy wise, but he did land 3 more significant strikes. Pretty much every other statistic about that fight belonged to Jared Gordon, though.
Well, I even think the significant strikes belong to him because what's their definition of significant?
Right.
Because the only one that was backing up constantly throughout the fight, on his fucking heels, taking cracks, head getting rocked back, looking like he just didn't want to be a part of that fight, was not Jared Gordon. That was Paddy Pimblett.
Yep.
Paddy Pimblett does not want to be in a fist fight at all. You give anybody that's any sort of decent, they were throwing some names off last night. You give them somebody like Money Moicano. Yeah, just gonna fucking smoke him, man. He's gonna get smoked. It's not gonna take long. He's gonna get smoked. It would be fantastic to set up that Connor fight right now just because of that, because his ceiling is so low after what we saw last night against Jared Gordon.
Yep. I think at this point, basically, like the UFC is obviously going to fucking panic because you've really got 2 choices here. Either you never let Paddy leave London again, and you just start lining up soup cans for him to crush in the O2 Arena, which will sell out every fucking time you go there and make you lots of fucking money. Or B, Paddy Pimblett becomes the B-side to somebody like a Money Moicano, and you give him a legitimate threat and he gets immediately exposed, and you see just how little chance he's really going to have against anyone with even mediocre ability in that fucking division. I'm not saying that just to be a fucking hater or just to throw shade, because I like a lot of what Paddy does. His whole fucking mental health bit that he fucking promoted is spectacular. But the things that he has done and said since then, and the ability he has put forth to show us what he is capable of since that time, just aren't gonna cut it in the UFC in the 155-pound division. Like
Yeah,
you
these
can
past
be a
few
great
fights,
can crusher,
he
but
struggled against Jordan Levitt and then got his ass beat by
Jared fucking Gordon.
Jared Gordon.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
come
can be a
on,
great can crusher, but at this point, there like you're gonna struggle with even the baseline of the actual rankings. Once you get into the middle of the pack, you're fucked. Like those
yeah,
dudes
he's in
will
the
beat the
best
shit out of you.
division in the fucking world. Like, well, lightweight division is the strongest, deepest
It's
fucking
one of the
fighting
fucking
division in
hardest to
the
get
world.
through for sure. Yeah.
You think about a guy we're going to see this weekend, Bobby Green, right there on the outside of the
Dude,
rankings. You
Bobby
just,
Green would take Patty Pimblett's fucking lunch money. Are you kidding me?
yeah, there's so many. Like, we can literally sit here and I think list off 20 or
Oh
30
yeah. Oh
lightweights
yeah.
that are not in the top 15.
Oh
That's
yeah.
bad.
Oh yeah.
That means this dude is not even a top 50 in this fucking division after what we just saw.
Yeah.
And he's hyped up the way he is. It's awful.
They,
It's
yeah,
disgusting.
they're gonna have no choice but to change course for what they originally planned for Patty Pimblett, based on what we've seen just in that Jordan Levitt and in this Jared Gordon fight alone. Because there's no fucking way this dude even sniffs a fucking title at lightweight ever. I don't give a fuck if they nuclear bomb UFC headquarters and we lose a quarter of the fucking roster. This dude ain't even in the conversation. So they're gonna have to go back to the fucking drawing board and completely rework what they wanted to do versus what they're going to be able to do with Patty Pimblett now. So I'm almost more curious to see what they're gonna do with Patty Pimblett than I am with Jared Gordon, because this loss actually looks better for Jared Gordon than the win does for Patty Pimblett, in my opinion. Like, no one that watched that fight, save for those three dipshits who turned in scorecards, thought that Jared Gordon lost that fight. No one. No one. I Pepsi challenge you to go back and watch it right fucking now and then come back and tell me you honestly think Jared Gordon lost that fucking fight, because you can't fucking do it. That being said, the main event that wasn't, and then it was, but it actually wasn't. I didn't agree at first, but the more that I've thought about it and the more that because I've gone back and I've watched the fight 3 more times and then watched a couple of just highlight clips since last night of this main event, because it in real time it was so hard to fucking really put a gauge on it. But I've gone back and rewatched the whole fight a couple of times now, and I've watched a bunch of different highlights from different angles. I initially could not understand how we got to split draw. I feel a little better about it. What I don't understand at this point is why Jan said he should give, or they should give the belt to Ankalaev. A draw is a draw. A draw means neither one of you won. Like, I credit to Jan Blachowicz for saying flat out, I don't think I lost, but I definitely didn't win this fight. I agree. That's literally what a
somewhat
draw is.
honorable, but I somewhat disagreed with that. I mean, I could watch the fight again myself, but just with how damaging those leg kicks were and how sharp Jan was looking,
One,
if
two,
that
and
would
three
have been a
alone. Yeah.
3-round fight, I definitely feel like Jan won in a 3-round fight if it would have been what it was originally, touted to be. But I still feel like Jan won the first 3 rounds. So I can
completely agree.
understand why he personally feels like he lost, because he was kind of dominated in rounds 4 and 5. And I know those are the championship rounds, but at the same time of that domination, it was a similar thing what we saw in round 3 with Jared Gordon. And the judges in MMA just don't fucking care about you dominating and grappling if you're not beating the living hell out of a dude with the ground and pound. Magomed did that someone it was like why Dana was pissed. It was such a boring fight for the most part because the first few rounds, that's all Jan was really doing is just
Right.
being patient, trying to lure
Leg kicks,
Magomed into
leg
traps and just getting him with those leg kicks and tearing his legs up. And then the last two rounds, it's Magomed laying on top of Jan because Jan's fucking ground game is horrible.
Yeah.
I still think Jan kind of. That's the thing. I get where we got the draw, just because of that. I understand the domination aspect of the grappling Magomed had. Jan was just laying on his back for a whole 10 minutes at the end of the fight, but yeah, it's tough.
No,
I don't
and
feel like either one of them really won, like you're saying, so I get where we got the draw, but in reality, I feel like the way that you're supposed to kind of score MMA, who was more offensive and stuff, and who did
right
more
there were
damage.
still things done that could have
Damage.
been scored.
That's the biggest thing to me too. The damage, the fucking legs, man. You just so you would give Jan the first 3 rounds, and Jan should have won the belt, even though Jan was honorable, and at the end said Magomed should have. You know,
right.
it's just a shit show in general.
I agree, and that was actually part of the thing is that this fight being so like we talked about it in the moment during the 5th round, like it very much looked like Ankalaev got the shit beat out of him for 3 rounds and then decided in round 4 he was just going to go full on wet blanket to prevent himself from getting beat up on the feet anymore, because Jan was literally punching and kicking the fuck out of Magomed Ankalaev. Like his leg was looking like hamburger. His face was starting to fucking swell up. Like he was wearing it. He was really starting to wear it. And then round 4 comes out and he just goes full on fucking Russian wet blanket and holds Jan without really doing a whole lot. He was never really advancing the position. He was never really trying to posture up to land any fucking ground and pound. He was quite literally just aggressively laying on Jan Blachowicz, and he did it for almost all of round 4 and then came out. And when he went right back to it in the beginning of round 5, we were pretty much all in agreement. Like he's about to wrestle fuck his way to the title because the recency bias will kick in. 3 was close enough you could make an argument that it might have been given to Ankalaev, and then when you got round 4 solid, wet blanket treatment, nothing else to score, and then you go round 5 the same fucking way, now you're 2+ potential 3rd round up, and sure the fuck enough, it almost came down to that. One judge saw it exactly as that Ankalaev took 3, 4, and 5. Luckily, the other 2 bounced it out to enough of a degree that we ended with a split draw. But the problem is that in getting a split draw decision in the main event for the vacant light heavyweight title, there's literally no fucking winner. So now we have a main event that goes 5 full rounds and we still have a vacant light heavyweight title, which, like we talked about a little
Ever
bit earlier,
since
led
John
to
Jones vacated the fucking title, this division has been a shit show.
kinds of fucked up. Yeah.
And then that's what really sucks the most, that Yuri and Glover fight, in my opinion, fight of the year this year. I don't know if it'll actually win the award, but to me, it's the fight of the year. And then if Yuri hadn't gotten hurt, then we've got our champion back. It's similar to the John Jones situation. Somebody that's at least exciting to watch. Just it sucks because now it's back into the shits and shambles because that fight, it was just so boring. And then there's no champ again. And so Dana White and us were all so pissed. It took 5 minutes. He's so pissed he did the only thing he's ever done in the history of the fucking company. In a matter of 5 minutes, he's like, you know what? Fuck it. You bastards are giving me what I want because I'm pissed off. I'm butthurt. Nobody won the title.
Yep.
And I want an exciting fight. So he just pulled the only fucking fighter in the light heavyweight division that's exciting enough to go against Glover Teixeira.
Right. Well, and it led to like one of the most like polar opposite dichotomy of each other's situations in his own announcement. In one breath, he announced, I'm in a good fucking mood. So for bonuses tonight, fight of the night goes to Till versus Duplessis because it was a great fucking fight. And other than that, every other finisher on the card gets a $50,000 bonus. 950G bonuses given out, plus that fucking fight of the night card. So everyone who finished, plus Till and fucking Duplessis, all get 50 G's last night. And then literally in the next fucking breath, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to tell you guys. I don't do this normally, but I'm gonna. UFC 283, Brazil, Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill for the now still vacant light heavyweight belt of the world. So, yeah, like we mentioned, Anthony Smith is quite literally kind of out in the cold right now. I'm very curious to see how this all plays out, because Dana White has traditionally always been Mr. I don't make fights on fight night. We'll get in the war room on Tuesday and we'll let you guys know what we come up with. And then
I
he
saw
just
him
spills the
react
tea.
to the news last night, and I gotta say, I just love Anthony Smith even fucking more. The dude was so goddamn professional.
I'm saying
It's
like,
his job nowadays to be a fucking analyst, and we listened to Michael Bisping's podcast with Anthony a lot, and Anthony says it a lot. He would love to actually be, you know, commentate the fights like DC does and
yeah,
shit
he wants
someday.
cage side
So
commentary. Yeah.
it means something to him. You can only imagine how pissed off he was, and I even heard John Anik fucking throw some credit to him and say he saw his reaction offset, and he's like, credit to you for being professional here, brother, because that's the thing. He probably flipped the fuck out and was pissed the fuck off. And he
Yeah,
even
he had
said
every right.
on
He
the
had every
camera,
right.
he's like, London sounds fucking pretty good this time of year, and I think somebody fucking owes me one. Like, he did say that. I think somebody fucking owes me one.
Yeah, no,
I
I
love Anthony
agree.
Smith, and it's we felt a few weeks ago Glover was getting hosed. Now Anthony's getting hosed, and it's really just because of the injury.
Yep.
It's like, a quarterback getting fucking pulled, from the starting lineup because he gets hurt and some other fucking young kid starts playing good while he's hurt. It's the same situation here. Anthony Smith, he couldn't get, that's why the UFC didn't, because the storyline would have been great, like the rematch of Anthony Smith against Glover, and then it's for the title.
And it's for the belt. Yeah, that would have been fucking great. It literally
But
storyline right
Anthony's not
itself.
going to be ready by fucking January 21st,
No,
he's just now about to get himself into camp. He literally said last night his plan is to get ramping up hard into camp the start of January. So you can't give him 3 fucking weeks of good camp before you go get his second chance at a title. He probably wouldn't have even accepted it had the UFC offered him it before Jamal. He probably would have been like, "Shit, I want to fuck." It would just he probably if he would have accepted it, wouldn't have been
he
good
would have
for him.
wanted to. Yeah, for sure.
Because he needs to be 100% when he comes in. No matter who he fights and when Anthony fights, I want Anthony to be healthy and 100% because I want to see him just like Wonder Boy. Let's get one more crack at it. After Wonder Boy did what he did the other week to Kevin Holland, he's going to struggle against the grapplers and shit, but he's got that opportunity now. Let's go.
Right. Yeah, let's see. Let's give it a fucking whirl, because worst case scenario, it doesn't work and you still get a good matchup out of it. But no, props to Anthony Smith for being a fucking boss and how he fucking handled that. And we were talking about this a little bit before the show here. It feels like at this point, it makes real good sense to just make Jan versus Anthony Smith in London. It's, it's the middle towards the end of March. It's a week later than he was originally going to be fighting Jamal anyway. Jan will have, 2.5 months to heal up and get back into camp. It's not like it's a stretch. He didn't take a ton of damage in the fight last night.
Nope.
And it makes sense because that means either Jan stays in the conversation and he stays in the top, or Jan's time at the top is done and it's time for Anthony Smith to be in the conversation. I don't 100% understand, honestly, why they pulled Jamal Hill and threw him into this title fight. I like Jamal. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. I just don't understand it personally. But I feel like if that's what they're going to do, then Anthony Smith versus Jan Blachowicz makes
it's
just
like
as much
I was
sense.
saying, it's just because Rakic is still hurt and everything. It's the only dude in the light heavyweight division that's on a little bit of a rise.
A run, yeah.
And it's exciting. That's the whole thing. I think Dana last night, as soon as that fight was over, he's talked to Hunter and the guys, and he's just like, let's fucking get this done because this shit will at least be a good fight. I don't give a fuck. We'll get a champion, and it'll be a good fight.
Yeah.
It's not a good matchup. Glover will probably win it. And then this is the thing that I'm hoping, like keeping the fingers up all year this year. I've been rooting for Anthony to get another shot because I love Anthony Smith. And he's still fucking been good. He's been up at the top, you know. Hopefully next year, because if Glover winds up winning right at the start of the year, and then he's like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. Yep. And then we get another vacating of the belt. Like, oh my God, Dana White's gonna be so fucking pissed. But you better put Anthony Smith in that next.
I was gonna say at that point, you put Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira for the belt. Done deal. Sign the fucking paperwork, you know?
Well, no, if Glover wins and then he's vacating, you know, Glover's retiring. So then you would be
then you make Anthony Smith versus Yuri for the new vacant belt.
Well, if Yuri's healthy. But if Yuri's still going to be out for a while, who do you think they would do at that point? I don't know. Maybe Rakic. You'd hope Rakic would be coming back at that point, and that'd be a rematch of those two. You know, Rakic beat Anthony Smith a couple years ago.
Yeah, no, they would probably either give him that rematch or they would just wait for Yuri to do Yuri versus Anthony. But
yeah, I hope some way, somehow, just like the MMA Gods corrected shit. They tried screwing Glover, you know, because they could have just set that up originally. They could, you know, as soon as fucking Glover's like, hey, you know what? Let's just do it in Brazil. You know, fighting Magomed for the title. They could have, or whatever. They could have had him and Jan fight this weekend. They could have done so many different things. It's just a big old kick in the nuts sometimes what the UFC decides to do. And then they try to, you know, save their ass, make the decision that they should have made originally after the fact.
Yep. Dana White got a Dana White. Dana White got a Dana White.
I would say at this point, just like with that situation, there's so many of the divisions in the UFC that are just so clogged up.
Right. No, it's that's what I said. It's going to be real interesting to see what this week's Tuesday fucking matchup meeting actually produces, because from the shit that shook loose and all the rippling effects of this weekend, there's some potential interesting matchups that could be made now. So I'm curious to see what Mick and Hunter and Dana sit down and actually work out this week, because there's some potential out there, but there's also some answers. There's some answers that we need as well. God damn it. But that being said, those are the fights as we watched them play out this weekend. That is all we have got for this particular episode. So we do appreciate, first and foremost, everybody, whether you are here just watching, hanging out, whether you are lurking or using us as background noise, we appreciate you just the same. If you appreciate what we get up to around here, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Thumbs up would be appreciated. Tell a friend if you really like what we do. You want to help out around here, best way to do that, patreon.com/I'mNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name as a thank you on the end of every single broadcast on this channel, as well as access to unaired and literally unairable content, things that we legally had to pay gate. I'm telling you, it's worth your dollar. That being said, on the other side of that coin, if you don't appreciate what we get up to around here, go ahead and give us a thumbs down. But first and foremost, why the fuck are you still this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give us a thumbs down. We won't dispute it. Then go fuck yourself. That's all we've got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless it's Doug Crosby to know what the fuck he's talking about, apparently.
Fuck Patty Pimble.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.